This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day, carefully crafted for you by humans. So meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Fully Managed Podcast. This is the podcast where we discuss marketing and business tips to help assist you in your business journeys. I'm your host, Daniela, and I'm Penji's Partnership Coordinator. I'm joined here today with a very special guest, Jason Berkowitz from Break the Web. Hi, Jason. How are you?
I'm doing great, Daniela. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Thanks for being here on the podcast today. I'm very excited to talk to you. Now, to get started and kind of break the ice a little bit, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what Break the Web is all about, anything that we need to know about you, your favorite color, all of that?
My favorite color is blue, and it's all over our branding because of that. With that, Break the Web, we're an SEO agency that focuses on helping in-house marketing teams of B2C, D2C brands just make the annoyances of SEO, the nuances and the ambiguity of SEO just a lot less annoying and make it more manageable, measurable, and allow brands to see success. Me personally, I've been doing SEO since about 2010 and started as a freelancer. And over time, when you start delegating things out, you bring on people to help you with things. And before you know it, you have an agency. So I currently serve as both the founder and SEO director at Break the Web.
That's so cool. So can you tell me a little bit about how the journey to having your own agency kind of happened? I'm always curious to hear that because I think we hear a lot of people who work with agencies, but not a lot of people have the guts, I guess, to have their own. So I want to hear your story.
Yeah, I mean, this whole journey is just like anything you do as an entrepreneur. It's kind of like an emotional roller coaster and something some people don't intend to sign up for. In my case, it wasn't. I was just looking for kind of freedom. And I guess as a freelancer in SEO, was looking to just delegate things out. And it just made logical sense. I wanted to get out of this area of the work. I wanted to get out of this area and just started bringing on people. So again, having virtual assistants as the original start, that's when, okay, I need someone to help manage client relationships. I need someone to help manage execution with link building, with content. I can't do it. I'm not a creative. I'm a technical guy by nature. So just getting the right people before you know it, again, you're no longer just a freelancer. You're an agency.
That's amazing. So you kind of became a solopreneur at the beginning, right? From what I'm hearing, it was kind of like you were a one-man agency. At this time, are you still just doing it all yourself, or have you looked into outsourcing with other people?
Yeah, I was handling a lot myself. I was working in a completely different field, a different career, and wanted to do something from home. Just didn't want to leave the house. Didn't want to do much. And I stumbled upon SEO for my previous career. I was a personal trainer in New York City and wanted to see how I can get inbound leads, have people come to me instead of me having to rely on the gym's leads. And over the course of a few months, connected with the right people, took some training. I was able to learn. Again, SEO was very, very different at the time. Help bring in a website to the top for Personal Trainer NYC, which was getting traffic. But then I'm like, forget personal training, going to lead into SEO and dive deeper into that journey. And I did this for my website. I can do this for other websites too. And then I was doing it all myself just because of budgets being tight, wanting to make more money. And then I started bringing in virtual assistants. Virtual assistants were kind of like the easy way to just help make things during the day-to-day a little bit easier once I had more revenue coming in, and then start to get other experts in their field.
That's incredible. I think what I can't believe is that, you went from being a personal trainer to doing SEO. It's such a huge career change. Actually, I wanted to ask you because I did some research and I know that you started this back in 2010, which I mean, that's what, 15 years ago? Yeah, 15 years ago. That's a long time. And I think back in 2010, correct me if I'm wrong, because I was also super young and I was not like anywhere near being in the workforce. So I might not know the scope, but I feel like SEO wasn't as big of a thing as it is now. Um, I feel like nowadays I hear everybody talking about SEO, and using SEO for even like not for just website, but social media strategies and just like in general. I think it's a very big part of digital marketing. And I wanted to ask you, from way back in 2010 up until now, how has that changed? How had, the SEO landscape changed and what challenges or, benefits, like, has it gotten easier? Have you noticed? And have you like had to adapt to with all of these shifts?
Yeah, a lot of great questions. I think SEO was just as popular at the time, but I think the perception has changed over the years. I think just because the algorithm and the tactics and what was working very well was so vastly different at the time that SEOs, and I guess my own biased impression was SEOs were like these magicians that can do some cool things behind the scenes and then bam, you're ranking. It wasn't and even at the time, Google wasn't as transparent about what works and what doesn't. And even their algorithms changes over the years has made things more advanced and has required what you do in SEO to be a lot more tactical, strategic, a bit more hands-on. I mean, my first few months of SEO, you can get results literally with the click of a button, just by using various spam tools. That was the standard though, and it worked. And Google just making algorithm updates and releasing information required everyone to adapt and evolve. And people who are still in SEO and have been doing SEO for just as long have kind of this mentality of adapt and evolve with all the changes. So is it harder? I don't necessarily consider it harder than it used to be. I think it's just different. And I think I'm just so adapted to, or you so used to adapt and evolve. And it's just another day.
That's interesting. I don't know. Yeah, 'cause I wasn't working. I was in school, in 2010. I'm trying to think of my age.
Yeah.
Like at the time, probably 12 or 13. I don't remember, but I was a kid. But I didn't. My point
You
is,
weren't
like,
taking SEO in school in school.
marketing 101. No. So like I don't remember it being such a buzzword, but I feel like nowadays it's like I'll log into some random social media app and they're talking about doing SEO for like getting views and followers. And then almost everyone that I talk to at work tells me that SEO is a huge part of marketing strategies. And I mean, I think nowadays most marketing campaigns, most marketing strategies have to include SEO in some regard. And I don't remember that being such a thing back then. I might be wrong because I was a child. I didn't go to a good school that taught me SEO, but I don't remember it being so prevalent in the landscape. Is I guess what I meant.
Yeah. I think just digital marketing has become a bit more uh, holistic and well-rounded over the
Yeah.
years to include SEO work. SEO at the same time back in the day had this weird stigma to it that, oh, they're spammy. You're going to get your website penalized
Yeah.
because you can absolutely get penalized back in the day. Uh, Manual penalty, algorithmic penalties, and SEOs were kind of considered like black hatters in a way. So I think, again, just with all the advancements, popularity, technology, definitely, I think just the digital marketing landscape as a whole has advanced so significantly in the last 10 years.
Really interesting. I think what you said also makes sense because I think people didn't understand the internet as much as they do now. And that's also my impression. Like, I feel like there are certain people that did. There were visionaries like you who kind of saw worth in it, a future, blah, blah, blah. And then there were people who were kind of old school still who were like, I don't trust, all of this. And then nowadays it's like, the internet is, you have to be online. You cannot be online, especially if you're a business owner, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed 100%.
So I wanted to ask you because I think SEO can be very scary, even if, we've been talking about how we all know about it, I think even if people are not necessarily super familiar with how to do it, everybody has like a vague concept of what it is. And even then, I think a lot of like small business owners, new business owners, and up and coming business owners are afraid of SEO. And like when they hear like search engine optimization, it can be a little bit terrifying on how to do it properly, how to make it work, how much to invest in all of this. How do you help people with that? And, like sort of put it into a way that's digestible for a person who's already overwhelmed, I'm assuming from like a really big business that they're already trying to handle.
Yeah, absolutely. The way we work, we typically work with in-house marketing teams. So there's already kind of a jargon lingo level of understanding related to some of the things. But of course, there's a lot of nuances and ambiguity with SEO. There's also a lot to it. There's like a million things going on in an SEO strategy. The way we work at it is first and foremost is try to understand our clients' way of digesting information. How best do they get information? Is it us recording videos? Is it us giving different advisements? We aim to follow a specific framework of giving advisements so that it's easy to digest, and also that it explains the outcome and the effort. Um, Basically helping put weight to why someone should implement our recommendation. So it does get challenging. And then even just for new business owners, the complexities could even just be resources where SEO and website development, things that are taking place on your website and on-page SEO aspects, they're two different areas of expertise. Like I'm not a developer. I know code just as a byproduct of what I do over the years, but most implementation of some real technical SEO recommendations tend to come in and go to developers or engineers of certain websites. So also making sure that any advisements or recommendations don't step on toes or have conflicting interests with other people in other marketing departments.
That happens so much when something that you want to do is sort of stepping on the toes of someone else's work, especially when I think, you know, y if you don't understand an engineer's work, it's really hard to not realize that you might be putting them in a lot of trouble when you're like, "Fix this," right? Like, "I need you to optimize this," and then they're like, "What?" Like, um, I think
Yeah.
that that's very common. It's probably one of the first things that I learned once I got out of, like, school and I started working, um, was how much you have to have some kind of understanding of what other departments do, even if it's not yours, because it can be really confusing for the other person to even understand what you want. And sometimes, like, the same way someone can ask you, like, "Oh, do this," and it's, like, a really complicated task, and you have to be like, "No."
Yeah. I mean, you just nailed it because A, you don't want to throw someone under the bus for maybe
Yeah.
they did something a little bit weird. At the same time, there's like every department in a brand has their own set of egos and they all kind of like butt heads because no, I need this or I need this. And kind of the mantra we adapt is we play well with others. So we also tell developers, engineers like, hey, SEO comes second to what you do.
You're yeah.
If your key focus and your KPIs are user experience, conversions, and we give you a recommendation that's going to sacrifice that, then yeah, tell us. And it might be a discussion back and forth. We can weigh the pros and cons of not implementing a certain advisement, but absolutely, some people get very protective over their work.
Yeah. I also wanted to ask you, and this might be a little bit of a change of topic, but AI, what are your thoughts on how much it's increasing? The role of AI is increasing, I might as well say, and how much machine learning is happening with search marketing, and how are you guys sort of adapting to that? I feel like obviously every industry is being affected by AI, but I'm going to talk specifically about the marketing industry.
Yeah, from an outcome perspective, I think the impact that AI or LLMs are going to have directly on the world of SEO is still yet to be determined. We know that AI hallucinates a lot and it's still nowhere near perfection. And I think even just user perception, like the average person, not us in the tech field, we have a very different perception of AI than your everyday person. But I think it's also great for workflow productivity things. You can cut out a lot of time having new operators and agents do some of the things that would take you 30 minutes, get it done in like 2 minutes is a dream. And also like using it as like a non-biased view of information is also really great because we tend to also get biased in things that we see quite frequently. So we use it internally really as just a workflow aid, process aid, in our way of doing it.
Yeah, I use it. I use it internally as like I think I've said this in another podcast. It helps me get rid of the blank page. It helps me sort of have something to work from. Uh, I remember when I was in college, you know how you have to write college essays to get in? Um, it was so hard to write a college essay for me. Like I remember it was like, because maybe I had a lot to say, but I hadn't, at the moment I would just stare at this blank piece of paper and be like, I don't know. I just want to get into this school. Like, and I think I really struggled a lot to like try to get that written down. And when I got into college, that was in 2015, 2016, AI, like ChatGPT wasn't a thing. So I had to sit down and write it myself. And I would have really appreciated to have, some kind of thing that would have like, I would just like write a college essay. And obviously that's not what I'm giving them, but it would have given me something to sort of work from and then, get some ideas and then put something together. But I was just kind of staring at that blank piece of paper for so long. And from that, I think that in my job, it has helped me a lot, the same way that you said, like, like if I'm struggling to write an email, if I'm writing some kind of article, if I'm doing something for work, if I'm writing the description of a video that is going to be posted and I have to explain what the video is about, I need to like sit down and think. A lot of times if the ideas are not flowing, yeah, AI is a really good way to help. I still think it's not replacing humans because sometimes it'll give you some wacky ideas, but it definitely helps with like getting the ball rolling.
I guess that'll be like the tagline message of like helping these students get into Ivy League schools.
Can you imagine all of them giving the same essay that just was made by ChatGPT?
And it usually starts with explore or discover, the same exact words.
Yeah. It's always like, I think you can still tell when something has been AI made. I don't think generative AI is at a place right now where like it's sophisticated enough where it's like personalized and perfect. I think I can still tell when it's been made with AI because it's always super
Yeah.
extra. Like when I've asked a ChatGPT to write emails for me, it's like a long email, and I'm like, this could have been like a paragraph. Like this was really not necessary.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, obviously writers, like long form content writers, I've seen an impact over the last 2 years or so, but editors have become even more required. If people and brands start adopting more long form AI written content, it definitely needs to go through an editing process as
Yeah.
well. So hopefully editors are still flourishing now.
I think so. I don't, because I know designers have also kind of been affected by AI, but I think it's just kind of optimizing their work and not really replacing it. Because I think there still needs that human thing is still needed, and there's a lot of things that you cannot communicate to a bot. Maybe not at this point in time, not in 2025. Maybe in 10 years or so. So like, don't quote me on that, because we might be replaced by the future, and then I'm over here saying no. But I think at this point in time, yeah, we still need people in the middle of all of these things.
Especially in the creative field. I mean, creativity is in a way subjective and bound by someone's own eye. So whether it's art, whether it's content, you know, sure, you can get AI to get an article out, but is it going to have the same, like truly the same brand voice message as a person who's extremely skilled in that area?
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah. I also wanted to ask you, Jason, about how do you feel about social media nowadays? I think it's been so involved into content marketing, especially with I think B2C businesses. We see a lot more social media involvement. I've spoken to B2B business owners who tell me that, yeah, social media presence is important, but it's not the biggest priority in their marketing efforts because they're doing, directly related to the other business that they're talking to. But I think when it's B2C, it's very important to have an online presence. Um, and social media is changing a lot nowadays. Like at the time of recording this, it's January. So like, like the whole TikTok ban thing happened and then it didn't. And now it's like there's a 90-day extension. I don't know if it's going to be banned by the time this comes out, but um, with all of that stuff sort of happening, what's your take on that and marketing and business marketing in general?
Yeah, I have a few takes. On the personal side, I'm not a fan of social media myself. I like to have certain levels of privacy. The only one I'm really active on is LinkedIn, just because I like to stay up to date, connect with people, read other people's interesting business related, work related posts. But when it comes to brands that are in the D2C market, I will admit I do have the social profiles, and I'm the biggest sucker for ads. I am an impulsive buyer, and I'm the easiest person. You throw a retargeting ad at me, I am going to buy and I'm going to convert. And I think a lot of people are still like that. If you're able to define the proper traits and demographics, people you're trying to reach with social activity, with ads, organic reach via social, I think it's important. I think a lot of people and consumers like to do their due diligence before they make it. It all depends on like the price point, but the higher price point something is, the more due diligence a consumer is going to make, and the more information you can share about your product, use cases. We do a lot in D2C. So the biggest win for our clients in D2C social is kind of like real person reviews of like videos of people using their products. That's the biggest thing, social proof for them. So social media, I think it's important. It's not what we do. I don't offer it, but I think there's value there. Absolutely. Same time, it's also destroying people. So who knows?
Do you think that it's worth investing on every platform that is coming out, not just social, but I think there's like different sort of waves that the internet is currently going through. I mean, people are using SEO for social media. I've seen they're using SEO, like they're targeting words and phrases and stuff in the videos that they're making and the posts that they're making in order to attract a certain kind of audience to those posts. So I think, is it worth invest or I guess dipping your toes in all of these kind of new platforms that are coming out, and then one's going away, the other one's coming back, blah blah blah, all these things that are sort of happening all the time?
I think as marketers, you want to be data driven. So you could be the first one to throw tons of bucks at a new platform and share the data for other marketers too. At the same time, it really depends. I would say for a new platform, it depends on audience size, engagement, the type of people also that are on there. I think every social platform would have first off, different types of people go to different platforms, but also different types of platforms are in different stages. If someone's on LinkedIn, it's usually not at the same time they're browsing Instagram at the same time. So it's also capturing what mode they're in, what mood they're in, where they might be. People might be a bit more relaxed when they're on meta-related platforms. People might be at their computer pretending to work, but not really working, and they're on LinkedIn. So matching people where they're at could be advantageous too. At the same time, also investing in new platforms, I imagine, is probably really cheap to do some advertising.
I'm assuming like also riding the wave of something, right? You want to be the first one there if it works. And if it doesn't, if it's cheap, I guess it's a good investment.
But I mean, that's what marketing is. It's like constant testing. So if it's normal for you to invest in something and it not work out. And then okay, this didn't work for us, or maybe we didn't do it the right way. But at this moment, we're going to not go that route or not go to that platform.
Yeah, totally. I think what's difficult with marketing is that even though it's very data driven, there's a lot of stuff that can't be tracked data wise. I think about
SEO, yeah.
exactly. No, because I think of it from the perspective of me as a consumer. I have sort of seen, for example, a restaurant down the street, and I'll think about like, oh yeah, that place looks good. And that's it. It'll stay in my thoughts, in my head. And then about a week later, my friends is like, what should we eat? And I'm like, oh, let's go to that one restaurant that looked really good because they had a really flashy ad, or, it was exciting. And then we go, and then I guess the marketing worked on me, but the marketing team who worked on that will never know because it was all happening in my head.
Yeah, there's a lot of like attribution that can't happen, especially when it's, offline attribution. You might be relying to when you go into like a doctor's office. How did you hear about us? And people don't know. They'll say like online, and that's still ambiguous, even though the marketers behind the scenes want to ask like, where online? What did you type in? What platform were you on? What did you browse the day before that allowed us to show up? Attribution, yeah, is getting a lot more challenging. SEO, it's really hard to tie in attribution due to, Google wanting, and most search engines wanting you to pay for ads to get that attribution. But yeah, offline attribution is extremely hard. With local SEO, it's gets even more challenging. You got to rely on stuff like conversions being clicks or email form submissions, and aim to tie that in from there.
Yeah, I think also because people just want efficiency more nowadays. So you're also talking like thinking about someone who might have been interested, but just was too lazy to fill in that email application. And then you'll just like never know that it worked.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, once you have though, like a baseline of where things were before you started certain activities, that can help. It may not be accurate in terms of numbers and what you're actually getting in true ROI, but as long as you trust the initial baseline before you start activities and things go up from there, then what you're doing is working.
That's great. Well, Jason, we're almost out of time, but before we finish, I do have a game prepared for us. I do this with all my guests. It's a 20 questions rapid fire. Is that scary for you? Are
No,
you good
let's
with
do it.
that?
Do it.
So you have 1 minute. And I always put the pressure on people. Nobody has won. So if you can win, you'll be the first winner of the Fully Managed podcast to actually be able to get through 20 questions in this game. And if not, you will join my list of losers, which are all my guests.
Well, as long as you can ask fast enough, I'll try.
I'm joking, of course, but let's see. We'll start, and let me pull up the questions over here. And 3, 2, 1. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
Favorite social media platform?
LinkedIn.
Go-to karaoke song?
Spice Girls. This is my lifestyle. It's not mine. I don't do karaoke. Yeah. Sorry.
Books or podcasts?
Podcasts.
One word that describes you?
Resilient.
Dream vacation destination?
Bora Bora.
Most used app on your phone?
Alarm.
Favorite emoji?
Cowboy.
Hidden talent?
I skydive.
Go-to comfort food?
Cheesecake.
Superpower you'd want for a day?
Teleport.
Who inspires you the most?
Other resilient people.
Guilty pleasure?
I don't stop until something's completed.
So you got through 13, which is not bad.
I think a minute's not long enough.
Yeah, you're the first one who actually says that to me. I always say that to my guests, and they're always like, "No, I was a bad guest," like blah blah blah. But I always think I think a minute is not long enough.
I mean, in fairness to you, I think it takes you longer to ask the questions than it does for someone to answer.
Yeah, probably. Maybe I should add more time, but then everyone's gonna win. I
Well,
don't
what
know.
we can do is take the transcript from this podcast, throw it into ChatGPT and ask it.
How long does it take?
Ask a single question compared to the answer on average.
Yeah, no, I will. Maybe. You have a good idea. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Jason, it's been great having you today. But before we finish today's episode, I want to give you the space to plug anything that you want to plug, promote anything. If you're looking for friends, employees, work, whatever it is, the floor is yours.
Yeah. We are Break the Web, the in-house marketing agency for in-house SEO teams, helping make SEO a lot less annoying. Feel free to check us out, breaktheweb.agency, or just go to Google, type in Break the Web.
Awesome. Yeah, I will be adding the links to Break the Web on the description of this video so that people can click and go easily. And to you, Jason, thank you so much for doing this today.
Thank you for the time, Daniela. This was great.
It was great. Everybody else, I will see you on the next episode.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest, and to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend, and of course, subscribe.